The Diary of Thoughts, Part 18. The Meaning of Words. About Insults and Compliments. Written by Miguel Pacheco. During my life, I always heard and said lots of words that are considered as obscene. As a matter of fact, I was raised by my grandfather for a considerable period of time, and I received from him this kind of culture. In my country there are different ways to speak through various cultures, while the North and South have opposite approaches to express themselves. At the North part of the country, people use an obscenity in every 10 words as a natural form of speaking. Those people are educated the same way as the ones at the South and Middle country, but their mentalities are more materialistic and cold. Even so, while talking with people from other regions, they have the notion that they are pronouncing words that should not be spoken. They are aware of that illiterate wrong way to communicate as they know they are proffering an obscenity. Culture and education don't necessarily mean the same, as the basis of education is usually a common platform for everybody's formation and culture, and it also involves traditions and habits that comes next to our education. Some people don't say an obscenity due to their education, others pronounce one in every 10 words. This happens due to the meaning we give to certain words. Obscenity is nothing but a word with its attributes according to certain contexts where it's applied. A constant obscenity becomes a habit with time and changes its meaning. I remember that movie with Dustin Hoffman, Lenny, where he impersonates the role of Lenny Bruce, a famous American comedian that shocked the American society by the way he addressed his words to create political and sociological debate. At one certain point of the movie he says something like this in the lines of the following paragraph. If the President of the United States started to call nigger to every single Afro-American that works at the White House and his office, the word nigger would become accepted as a credential and compliment, and everybody would like to be called nigger. This sentence is an extraordinary message about the meaning of words, and it also showed his necessity to prove something to society by using simple words and expressions as a joke to manifest it. Normally, it's the best way as a majority of people understands it. It's true that we don't need to adopt the use of obscene words to prove our point, but it's also true that society in general pays more attention to everything that is obscene than to what is educated in its form of expression. An extraordinary musician and interpreter who sings lyrics based on our daily experiences and expressing all that in a very polemic and controversial way is Tom Waits. I consider him as the Lenny Bruce of music. Maybe he's insulting while singing depending the way we interpret it. Hank the Voice BEUKEMA reads from the Diary of Thoughts poems, written by Pacheco.
Insults. An insult is nothing more than an aggression that causes you a reaction, sometimes suffering, pain, others anger, frustration that leads you to violence, recrimination. An insult always has a reason. At its origin, it can be created by someone unblessed, but it can also be addressed from someone loved as a protective reaction, merely accidental, not intentional. An insult also depends on its circumstance. In love, an insult is sometimes the result of anxiety, by wanting to be more adored, more considered. Just a call of attention to your presence, your vital role in a couple's relationship. In friendship, an insult may be originated by the absence of truth. An insult among friends can hurt, but also cause a greater understanding in this type of relationship. An insult can also become a compliment, depending on the purpose, the meaning that you want to give to it. When someone attacks you for failing to understand you, your reason, it is simply the expression of their disability, limitation. It's not an insult, but simply a manifestation that hides their ignorance. An insult is nothing more than the attribution of a meaning, giving a certain sense to words that expresses who you are, what you feel. An insult can be addressed with love, pain, with aggression, with conviction, depending on how it is felt, understood at its reception. An insult has several forms of expression. A look, a word, a gesture, a reaction. Everything can hurt you, cause suffering, make us feel an insult.
Everything can be said with an obscenity as everything can be said without even a word. A certain look can send a message to the other person, which means that it's enough for itself. Nowadays, society uses obscene words as a daily routine, and their meaning has become almost abstract as people don't consider it anymore as an insult or lack of education, but simply part of a certain culture, the 21st century culture in this case. But lost in the middle of all this culture, an insult will always be an insult. Talking bad or good is an option as any other one in life. Good and bad are present in everything and everyone. Without any doubt, obscenities match certain social classes of society that didn't have the means to attain a necessary education, but it is a pity to verify that this form of expressing ideas and talking is also extended to the most educated people. When there is a precise repetition of a joke, this last one can become an insult. Most of the time, those undercover insults are the result of absolute hypocrisy in society. I used to say that I always laugh at the first joke that is addressed to me, I smile at the second, and the third will cause a problem as there is an actual intention to hurt our feelings. With a good joke, you can offend and insult with a smile but always showing the cowardice of your soul. Some people adopt that kind of behavior to hide their complexes and frustrations. Others use it as a constructive vehicle of transmission of positive messages towards others. A bad judgment can become an insult and a bad attitude too. My message in what concerns insults is that we all have to be committed to a certain measured way to talk and express ourselves that doesn't necessarily need to be vulgar or obscene to represent a relationship between friends, family and the rest of society. The exaggeration and continuous use of obscenities to relate with others can originate a loss of meaning about essential principles and individual values that can affect our dignity, for those who know what this last word represents. One of these days, people are insulted by their children, and they are smiling. Friends between friends insult themselves while around a table or on a pub or bar using that language as a common platform for conversation. Some kids between themselves are continually aggressing each other with obscenities and vulgarities. This reality is a sad way to communicate is captured from the media, from TV and some movie industries that use this language as a way to get fortune creating vulgarity around the world. Something is radically wrong about this situation. Don't forget that insults can be used to motivate some people, as in the cases of the military formation of the Marines and other military branches, where soldiers get verbally aggressed to become insensitive against words. But still, the practice of this method of endurance doesn't avoid that they get hurt by getting insulted. On the other hand, an insult can become a compliment while listening to it as a form of expression of friendship or love. To be called a fool can be an example of that context, as there are good fools and bad fools. Sometimes we're genius while being fools, and there is someone who loves and appreciates our foolishness. A compliment is something very difficult to say for some people who think that they are putting themselves in an inferior position before the one that deserves the recognition of his capacity, ingenuity or even virtues. This reaction of recognition has to do with humbleness, which is something that few people possess. Other people, while receiving a compliment, become too arrogant and pretentious, and from that minute on they'll even stop talking to us. In this case, this means that we are complimenting an ignorant. In a funny way, we can say that the actual text is an insult to the intellectuality of certain people. Maybe they're right, but I don't change it because of that. However, my words can represent an eventual insult to those who don't understand the content of this document. Insults and compliments are also related to riddles, as these have their architecture, structure, even soul. In fact, they express our thoughts, our feelings, words that define our opinions, even our judgments. Riddles can become insults, and they can be used to minimize another person or a compliment while practicing a good flirt with somebody. All this game of words translate the basis, the platform of communication that humans defined as to live in society. Nowadays people accept that form of communication as a fact, a constant in our daily lives, without connecting this fact to any compliment or insult, finally not distinguishing between them as they lost their intrinsic meaning. What greater insult can we have after some governments have put the whole planet in a state of bankruptcy while the rich get richer? Isn't that an insult to the intelligence of the entire humanity, not even using words? The Diary of Thoughts, end of Part 18. Written by Miguel Pacheco. www.diaryofthoughts.com